Gotta get my composure together.
I do the same thing.
I thought I had it, and then I didn't. My mojo wasn't there.
Not at all.
And go.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Tech Deck Karaoke, the #1 sleep aid in video podcasting.
Yes.
We are joined today by the infamous Tim Davis. Tim, welcome.
Hi there.
Would you please tell the audience who you are? Give us a little bit of an introduction. That way I don't have to butcher it.
Yes, I am Tim Davis. I am a DevOps advocate, DevRel, avocado, really whatever you want to call it. So I help folks learn and do stuff, and I get to present in front of folks, and I get to, post on Twitter about nonsense that has nothing to do with tech all day. And I am here for Tech Deck Karaoke. I brought my tech deck and everything. Like, I'm ready to go. So let's do this.
The commitment. I like it.
Yes.
I like it.
Brilliant.
It's already giving you brownie points, but it's definitely already giving you brownie points.
Beautiful.
Stacking the deck. Great. Our judge is already impressed. Thanks, jerk. Excellent. So Tim is now an official full-time man of the people, huh?
I am. Yeah, it's been really cool. I mean, even when I was, in SE and stuff like that, doing the community stuff, presenting at conferences, that's all the stuff that I enjoyed doing. And then I kind of found out that, hey, I could have a whole job doing this, and here I am. Makes sense.
I know that the idea of presenting and engaging, as antisocial as I am, presenting and engaging is like my favorite thing in the role, in the job.
Me too. And then as soon as I'm done, I shut down. It's really weird. I'm just like, don't talk to me. Don't come up to me. I gave you the chance to ask questions and you said no. But yeah, it's really weird. And like with me, I would rather present to a room of 1,000 people than to one single person. Like any day of the week, I would choose the larger group because I can not focus on one person and it's easier.
Absolutely. And our esteemed judge, Ms. Schaefer, I would love to say that I wasn't intentionally ignoring you, but I hate to lie. So please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Absolutely intentional. Hi, everyone. Sabrina Schaefer, your impartial judge today at Tech Deck Karaoke. I couldn't be more excited, Tim. Joe, not so much, seeing you, but that's kind of part of the show. So, you make do. You
got to work with what you got, right? You got to work with.
That's part of your charitable agreement for whatever kind of like community service or whatever you have to do that makes you have to work with Joe. It's working.
It's a give back. It's more for the community. No, that's fair.
That's perfect. You're doing your part. I like it.
Absolutely. Worst case scenario, you're stacking up good karma, right? It's not bad.
Yeah, exactly. It'll come back someday.
Perfect. Well, then without further ado, I am going to present your slides perfectly. And here we are. So I am Tim Davis, DevOps advocate. You can reach me on Twitter at VTimD. And this presentation is tag, you're it. About me, Tim. First of all, this is what I look like when I first wake up in the morning. That beautifully styled hair does not come naturally. First thing in the morning, this is me with my bed head, horns growing. Got to trim those down before the day because they really don't help with that advocacy role. I have a ton of experience in the world with bigger companies, VMware, Dell, SoftLayer, companies you may know, and a company you should know that I work at now, a startup named Environment. Is it Environment Zero?
It's M0, like Environment Zero, but yeah.
Okay, in Zero. Okay, all right. And I know my company's name. I'm just trying to create some humor here, right? Obviously, I know. So in Zero, as a DevOps advocate, as we just found out. Without further ado, let's get started. What even is tagging? We talk about tagging. Tagging happens. Lots of things are tagged, but what are we really talking about when we're talking about tagging? And this isn't just playing tag in the front yard, tag you're it. This is tagging on other stuff, which we're about to discuss. What is a tag? A tag is not necessarily the coffee filter you see here. A tag
Yes.
Go on.
What would have been really helpful is if that last slide had a tag. So I inserted that slide to show you what happens when we don't have tagging. We end up with items or objects that do not have a label that allows me to know what I can do with that. So when we look at a resource such as a coffee filter, being able to tag that with coffee filter and possibly other attributes to let me know how to use such a thing will help. So on the left, we can see we've got our Microsoft Azure environment, and we've got the ability to apply tags within this environment. You can see on the right, we've got the tag management system, where we've got several tags denoting what these given objects are: demos, environments, name, owner, the rest. This allows us to classify our data, make it easier to consume, to understand, to utilize, and to categorize. And this is known as resource tagging. Why would you care, or why should you care about resource tagging? First, they make your life easier by making their lives easier. And that's everyone else outside of IT. You may be intimately knowledgeable with that coffee filter, but somebody walking in to make coffee today that hasn't ever made coffee with a drip system might not know what it is or where to use it or what system it applies to. So by putting that tag in place, you're allowing the people with less intimate knowledge of the system to easily consume the objects that they're looking at. People like finance, or your various mall cops out there, or these weirdos in suits staring intently at something that's extremely boring on probably a laptop that isn't even powered on because it's a stock photo. Okay, I get it, right? I get why these tags might be important. I like easy, right? But how? I've already got a ton of stuff. How am I actually going to go back and retroactively tag it? So the question here is, if I'm creating new objects, new information, new data, new systems, new environments, tagging it as I'm deploying is a fairly simple thing. But if I'm going back in after the fact to an environment that's already built, that has its objects, that has its infrastructure, how do I go back and apply tags that will allow me to better consume it moving forward? The answer is get organized and start somewhere. You're going to start with the people, process, and tools that your environment consists of. And then you're going to look at the intersection of where these things come together. My people and processes come together in collaboration. Those people come together with tools in the form of innovation, and process and tools come together in the form of automation, bringing all this together into a DevOps environment. So when we look at it from this perspective, we have multiple starting points for where we can get organized when we're looking at our ability to begin to retroactively apply tagging to our systems. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And this is something our impartial judge is very familiar with. You may not know this, but Miss Schaefer, who is not originally a runner, has recently signed up for the Chicago Marathon. And she's now up to running 12 or so miles a weekend in preparation for that marathon. And one thing I'm guessing she could tell you, and if she can't tell you this, then I'm going to ask her to act like it was true in the first place, is that it starts with a single step, a single run, a single half mile, and then you build upon that. It's not about getting to the finish line instantaneously. It's about forward progress. And that's what you want to think about when you're looking at tagging. You've got a ton of different software and objects coming together to create the environment that you're building in this DevOps methodology. So you're going to address tagging from a marathon perspective. Where is the most logical place to start? And that logical place may be with something that's the low-hanging fruit, something that's easier. That way you're building up the skill set, creating the habit, and continuing on, taking one more step at a time, one more pace in that minute. It's all baby steps. You don't want to look at this as the monumental project of tagging everything you have. You want to look at this as, where should I begin tagging? As you're moving through that, looking at the next place that logically adds to that tagging. And if you're doing this in sequential format with things that touch one another or work in parallel, then you'll begin to create value very quickly as you add the minimal amount of tags to your system. Baby steps. So How do you make it even easier than that? Because at the end of the day, I'm an extremely lazy human being. And if you can't make it easy enough for me to do, it simply won't happen. There are weeks where I never even move out of this chair. So how do you make it applicable to me? Automate your tags. Automation is the key to operational efficiency, which used to be looked at as a cost-saving mechanism. But in today's world, automation is a necessity to keep up with the pace of change in our environments. So how do I automate tags? Well, there are a ton of ways to do this. You're going to look at the various systems you have and what tagging automation might apply to that. Systems like TerraTag or Microsoft PowerShell can be used to automate the tags across a given environment. And we're going to utilize these tools to speed up that repetitive process of baby steps to accelerate the pace of our finish in that marathon. Work hard today to be super lazy tomorrow. And this is a key to almost everything in my existence. About a year ago, I sold a house, and every buyer that came through told my realtor, this guy's a bit, I guess the word's meticulous. As they walked through my house, they noticed that everything had a home, everything had a place, everything was color coded, every tool drawer had a label. And the reason for that is that I'm lazy. And so by doing the hard work up front, I never had to look for where are my blue suits or where are my Phillips head or cross tip screwdrivers. I knew where they were because I put the work in up front. That same methodology applies to tagging. So as we look at how we're going to get in touch with our inner tagger, where can we learn more? The place you're going to learn more is by contacting me, the tagging expert, Tim Davis. I suggest contacting me on Twitter because it's a complete and utter dumpster fire there. And so not only can you learn about tagging, but you'll also have a lot of fun or a lot of hate. It's really up to you. So now, a little bit of Q&A that I'm not going to provide because you are not going to be allowed to ask me questions right now. You've got to come to Twitter and engage with me on my.
That was really nicely done, man. I don't know what these shows are rated, but man, the level of BS that you are able to just pull straight out of your backside. Everybody knows that it's true. Anybody who's talked to you or anything knows that it's true, but seeing it live with my own slides, man, that's impressive. I am legitimately going to steal a few of the things that you said to put into that because I kind of like the way that you spun it.
That was a fun day. I mean, you like dropped my pants with the coffee filter to direct into like the console tagging, right? That transition, my brain had.
Well, coming straight off of the fluffy cow picture,
Oh yeah.
I was hoping I would get something good out of that. That was the very last thing that I did before I shipped it off.
that final touch. It was like the cherry on top with the little raspberry drizzle.
And then the whole time you're waiting for another cow picture, or at least I was, all right.
I was thinking about like inserting a couple of slides that had nothing to do with the presentation and seeing where he went with it. But then I'm like, it's all right.
Yeah. So, and I'm always wondering what's coming because people are getting really good at landmining these slides. Like Marino Weejay, dug the bowels of the internet for some weird pictures of me from Joe's past. And so you'd hit a slide and it'd be like one picture. And then who else did? Oh, Chandler Bassett will be putting his episode out soon. He had a slide that told the whole story with like 15 versions of Joe.
Oh, nice. That's fantastic. I should have done that.
No.
All right. So Sabrina, on a scale of 10 to 10, how did I do?
10 being the worst. I give you a solid 10.5. I will tell you, I was impressed with I was wondering where you were going to go with the coffee filter thing. I was impressed at the end, how you kind of wove it all together. Your story was impressive too. I'll give you credit there. I don't want to give you too much credit. I think Tim kind of oversold it a little bit. You weren't that good. But no, I'll, scale of 10 to 10, I'd give you like a -5. Yeah.
That's fair.
So I'm progressing upwards. I'm trending towards the positive here.
Well, and you took the coffee filter literally when it's actually an analogy. So that was interesting to see you kind of carry the coffee filter on when it's not part of the story long term. I enjoyed that.
I'm a little disappointed, and in fact, I'd have to bring my own score down to maybe a -7 because you gave me a brilliant opportunity to bring in something like coffee is for closers, and
oh man, that's a huge missed opportunity. Now you should have left that out.
Yeah, you ruined it.
Especially right after the intro. You now know I'm Tim Davis, but the most important thing to know about me is I'm a damn closer. And that's why I got
yes.
Oh, Tim, I can't wait to see how it's really done.
Excellent.
Please. The floor is yours, sir.
So I am Tim Davis. I am a DevOps advocate, and this is Tag You're It. About me, I am not a fluffy cow. I am, in fact, a person sometimes. It depends on what day it is. And I currently work at a startup called M0. We do infrastructure as code automation. Before that, I was at VMware doing several things, including networking and security, as well as founding the cloud and developer advocacy team there with a group of folks. Dell Technologies, which used to be Perot Systems. I was an enterprise architect, and I was also a systems engineer and stuff like that. And at SoftLayer, which is now IBM, I was infrastructure operations. As you can see, the overarching theme here is I am on the infrastructure side. I come from operations. My joke is I bring the ops to DevOps, and that's just kind of who I am and why I'm here. So what is tagging? You've heard it before. You know what it is. If you've ever seen a train on the south side of LA, you know what tagging is. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today, we're talking about resource tagging. What it is, why you should do it, how it can help you, and things like that. So what is tagging? If you boil it down, tags are just filters. Simple as that. A tag is a filter. It's not a service. It's not a function. It doesn't do anything crazy. All it helps you do is logically group your resources so that you can call them up.
So it's keeping the grinds out of my data, really.
It is absolutely keeping the grinds out of your data. And it's also, it's keeping the grinds of other teams off your back, which is super important. You've seen it before in your cloud console. In Azure, you can add tags. In AWS and VMware consoles, everybody has tags, but a lot of folks just don't use them. They're so helpful for helping you organize logical groupings of resources for literally a multitude of reasons. So really, why should you care? And it's because you're lazy. Don't be offended. I know you are. I am. Everybody is. Everybody wants to do as little work as possible for as much money as they can humanly get for it. That's just the human condition. That's how we are. So really, tags can help you make your life easier by making other teams' lives easier. You've got the finance department who wants to know how much team A is spending on their environments. They want to know how much production is costing you. They want to know how much they're wasting on dev or staging or QA. Being able to have these tags to more easily pull reports can help you get them off your back so that they don't come and yell at you at the end of the month because production is costing too much money. You've already been running those reports. You're actively checking them. You know that they're part of the development cycle. You're making sure that you're not over budget before you're deploying something new into prod. So you're really staying on top of that. Security is the same way. You don't want to push something out to prod that doesn't get the correct policy attached to it, that is put in the wrong zone or anything like that. So you want to make sure that you're not getting yelled at by security because you were breached or because you did something wrong. You're already taking care of that, again, as part of the development cycle. Because you're applying these tags, you know that dev stuff goes into dev. You know that prod stuff goes into prod. You know that certain IAM policies get attached because they have those specific tags. So you're kind of making sure that security and finance is taken care of. But there's also the one thing that everybody truly cares about, and that is the most important thing in your life, and that is, of course, middle managers. They have to justify their jobs in some way, shape, or form. And they do that by just running reports all day. Help them out by giving them a million things to run reports on. They want to see how many resources are in prod today, how many are in dev and staging, how many databases you have. If you have everything properly tagged, then they will be happy because they can run their reports, send them upstream, and get that next week's paycheck. So make sure that the middle managers in your life are always happy and taken care of, because you really don't want to hear from them anymore. You're really sick of that. So am I. We don't want them. Just whatever. So you like easy. We know we're all lazy. We figured it out, but you've already got so much stuff deployed. How do you get to this perfect, harmonious nirvana of everything being tagged? Because it absolutely can seem daunting, especially because you're still deploying stuff out right now. Every minute you keep pushing new stuff out because devs keep asking for it and shoving it out there in the cloud. How can you ever keep up and then, get to where you want to be? This is DevOps. You have to remember, you have to get organized. You have to get everything together. You have to have your people, your process come together along with your tooling. A lot of folks think, hey, I just shoved a CI/CD pipeline at it. All of a sudden I've got DevOps. That's not true. You have to get the people in. You have to get the process in. You have to get the tools in. Everything has to be harmonious to be able to make this process work. The biggest thing to remember in order to make this all happen as well is that it is a marathon and it is not a sprint. You are not just going to click a button and all of a sudden every single thing is tagged and everything is going to be tagged, because it's kind of hard to figure out exactly what you need to tag with what and when and how and everything like that. So how exactly do we get from where we are to where we want to be? We're not just going to take one giant leap. We're going to take baby steps, doing things from right now, today, you are going to start tagging every single thing that goes out the door. Tag everything from top to bottom. You have it set to production. You have your databases tagged as databases. You have all of this done, and everything from now on is tagged and out the door. You never have to worry about anything new ever again. Now that will help you be able to manage that backlog of stuff you've already got a lot easier, because you don't have to worry about that pile getting bigger and bigger and bigger every single day anymore. So just the very first baby step is just start tagging right now with what you would like to tag it at. Even if you do the baby step of just tagging everything with prod. But if you don't do everything from top to bottom from day one, it may be a little bit difficult to go back through and fix all that stuff again. So if you just work out your tagging policy, figure out what all you want to have tags on, get it done, and start pushing that out the door today, then you can start working on that backlog. Another baby step when you get to that backlog is going to be just tag everything that's in prod as prod. Then go back through later and tag all your databases as databases. Just take those little baby steps and slowly work out that backlog, because you know that everything going out the door from now on has a full policy. So you can just start to work through it and then finally get to where you want to be. But we're lazy. We talked about it. So how do we be even lazier than that? Because we all know that, we can always be a little more lazy. Automate your tags. So utilizing things like from Bridgecrew for your infrastructure as code tags, utilizing Microsoft PowerShell for your Azure resources, Power CLI for your VMware resources, TerraTag for your infrastructure as code and your Terraform resources as well. If you are using some infrastructure as codes like Pulumi or Terraform, those actually have tagging built in natively for some of the providers. For instance, AWS Terraform has the ability to tag natively. Pulumi has tagging where it can tag pretty much anything that goes out the door. So just look into it. There are lots of ways that you can make your life of catching up on that backlog and even automating those things from today that we talked about even easier than that. Remember, work hard today to be super lazy tomorrow. I am always about going out of my way tomorrow so that I can do nothing, or going out of my way today so I can be lazy tomorrow. It's the way of sysadmins. It's the way we've always done it. I know nobody likes to hear that, but just make sure that you're making your life easier so that paycheck seems even better. If you want to learn more, there's tons of resources on the internet. Go do it yourself. Or, of course, you can always reach out to me on Twitter because I am always there. That is by far the best and fastest way to get a hold of me. And thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
How it's really done.
Well done. Now I know what a real presenter looks like. I like that.
Joe, are you taking notes?
I've always. So there's a couple of really good concepts you hit on. First of all, the laziness, right? Like I love that because admitting that is really important, right? Like if you look at habit formation and all sorts of documentation on how habits are built, they talk a lot about the human brain is wired to take the laziest action, the easiest action. Yep. And it really comes down to energy consumption, right? We have to intake calories and burn energy when we're expending brain energy. So our brain is wired to reduce energy, consumption. Yep. So acknowledging that lets us work around it. Ignoring it and saying, no, I'm Superman or Superwoman is not going to help you get this done. And then the next thing you did that I love is you gave us a really tactical first step. Yeah. I have to start by defining what I want my tags and labels to look like. Yep. What do I want to tag and how do I want those tags to look? And then the next brilliant piece you brought out is start with the new stuff. Because that's easy, right? As I'm deploying, everything gets tagged from here forward. That way I'm not creating a larger black hole of all this other stuff that is untagged.
A lot of folks try to start with the big pool first and they get overloaded. And it's like, no, screw that. Just stop making that pile bigger first.
Absolutely. Quit creating the new problem before you start to fix the old problem. Exactly. And then that helps you build that habit. And then you can look at those baby steps. Like if I've got everything new being tagged, now I might tell my team, go tag 100 objects per day of the legacy stuff or whatever it is, whatever that baby step chunk that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's just like, it's making the big circles smaller. You start with everything that's in prod, go tag it as prod right now. Everything that's in dev, go tag it as dev right now. Then get the smaller circle. This is application A or B. Then this is the web servers in application A in prod. You slowly work down that backlog, knowing that bucket isn't going to get more full because everything already going out now is tagged.
I'm curious, Tim, how often you see that actually happening. And at what scale, at what size of organization are they actually doing it?
So it's across the board. I mean, and I've specifically worked with customers that are small and that are doing it. Basically, there's a lot of finance platforms. In order to run those reports, they're using tags. You're going through and selecting a group of VMs and you're saying, hey, those are part of that or resources. So it's just one of those things where a lot of folks sometimes are even already doing it. There are some cloud backup platforms that when you go and select certain resources, it will tag it automatically. So there's a lot of folks that might be doing it that don't know because they're not doing it on purpose. And there's some that do it, but they do it to a very small degree. And there's some that just flat out click right past it. It doesn't matter what size they are. It doesn't matter what vertical they are. It's completely up to whoever started it and whoever's in charge. Maybe they've used tags before, maybe they haven't. So there's really no way to tell. And it can be easier or harder depending on what their processes are. So if they're not using automated deployments, if they're doing it by hand, then it can be difficult because then you're going to have to add into that process. Or if they are doing it automated, maybe they have to go in and then change how their CI/CD works or anything like that. So the answer, of course, is always it depends.
It depends. Like any good.
After all of those words, it depends.
Right. But no, that makes perfect sense. I was just curious, given everything that you're seeing, is there a specific, like you said, vertical size, anything like that you go, okay, these folks are getting it. These folks aren't, but it sounds like across the board.
If you've got like the really, really cutting edge software shops that are coming out these days that are all cloud native, they're using full DevOps and stuff like that from the start, it will be more likely that they will be using them already for one thing or another. But a lot of the older, more legacy shops that are starting their path along DevOps and are trying to figure it out and they're trying to be more lean and mean and resilient. It's something that you're seeing come up more and more.
Makes sense. So then tags really fall into that broad, mysterious category of metadata, right? They're data about my data, helping me better classify and filter it out.
That's all it is. It's just key and value of whatever it is. It is simply a filter to help you find what you're looking for in all of the noise. And it doesn't matter if you're just using the cloud console to find certain resources, or if you're using a finance platform to optimize your resources, or if you're using a cloud backup system to say which ones you want to have a certain backup policy. There is so many different uses for tags that even just doing that one little thing can help you on so many different fronts all at once.
It makes a lot of sense. I'm thinking about it even internally within our system. So one of the systems we use is SharePoint, and that's our kind of directory system, right, for our file storage. And we've got a great mechanism for how we organize it, right? And if everyone uses that mechanism and uses the correct structure, then everything's easy to find. But one of the examples that we hit often is we'll work with 2 different clients on a given project. Yep. So did somebody store it under client A with subfolder client B, or under client B with subfolder client A?
Right.
And so we have tagging appropriately on our data, or on our files in this case, then I'll be able to search and pull from any given folder, any given structure, everything, and filter it down with that coffee filter of tags.
Exactly right.
Exactly what I want to look at.
Sure.
I'm not going to let that slip, Joe. I see what you tried to do. Not going to work. But I appreciate the effort of you acting like, no. I had the coffee filter analogy down from the beginning. This is just part of my, story, my vernacular. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm getting an E for effort is what you're saying.
Sure.
Gold star sticker.
Brilliant. So I guess this brings us to the moment of truth. Sabrina, who presented it better?
I've been keeping a tally here, and really took some time to reflect on the 2 presentations. And I mean, without a doubt, unequivocally, Tim, I'm going to give this one to you.
All
Joe,
right.
You had some spots in there. You really lost me at the last. Gonna act like you were using coffee filter. I did appreciate though when Tim, when you talked about it being a filter, because I thought that was like just so obvious. I'm shocked that you missed it, Joe. But no, that was me.
He was looking for a character to tell the story with throughout the whole thing, and I was just like, I need a picture analogy real quick.
It's but no, I could see like the light bulb go off in Joe's head. It was fun. Yeah. It was just as entertaining watching him watch you present as it was watching you watch him present.
Yeah.
So, for that reason, Tim, I'm going to give this one to you for sure.
Brilliant.
For sure.
Love to see it.
Congratulations, Tim. Congratulations, jerk.
You did a great job, though. I'll tell you what, man. I was engaged the whole time. It was a great story, and I like it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So the one thing I do appreciate Sabrina for in these things is she throws me one courtesy, and she uses big words like unequivocally when she's describing my performance that I don't understand. So I can walk away thinking I won because I didn't know the words she was using.
I won unequivocally.
I'm unequivocal.
I'm unequivocal today. All right. Thanks. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And for those that are watching your brilliance and going, I just need more Tim. Where should they go to get more Tim? I know Twitter. Go ahead and give your Twitter handle. Any other places? Yeah,
Twitter @VTimD. Other than that, there's tons of stuff out there on YouTube of different presentations and things that I've done. So that's a good spot. Look for M0, look for VMware Cloud Services, look for my name on YouTube, specifically with the technology. And there's so much out there at this point. I've also got some blogs out on devops.com and dzone and stuff like that.
Brilliant. And as a bonus, Tim is my official Twitter surrogate. After leaving Twitter, Tim has taken on the role of making sure the world knows that I'm still alive.
Come to me for your fluffy cow updates and things like that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Tim. And no, thank you, Sabrina. Very much appreciate, Tim, you being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. This was awesome.